Bé, crec que tenint en compte la quantitat d'anys que porto a l'ofici, està força clar a què no renunciaria. El meu primer ordinador va ser un Amstrad sense disc dur, en el qual calia carregar manualment sistema operatiu i programes de tractament de textos. No hi havia internet, naturalment, no hi havia possibilitat de comunicar-se per correu electrònic i ni tan sols hi havia programes en la meva llengua. O sigui que queda molt clar a què no renunciaria.
Doncs jo, que vaig començar traduint amb aquest totxo, el que ha estat una autèntica revolució per mi són els diccionaris pop-up, aquesta possibilitat de passar el cursor per sobre dels caràcters i que ja et surti una finestra emergent amb l'equivalència, amb informació contextual. A vegades et diu si és el nom d'un personatge històric, d'un poeta, d'un polític, d'un filòsof, si és un nom de província, el que sigui. Això m'ha facilitat moltíssim la vida i l'únic que em falta és que n'hi hagi un de bo de xinès català.
Hola, me resultaría imposible traducir hoy en día sin contar con Internet y todos los recursos y herramientas que pone a nuestro alcance para resolver dudas de todo tipo, terminológicas, textuales, lingüísticas, a golpe de clic, de manera rápida y directa. Un saludo.
My work processes have significantly changed due to technology since I started translating in 2002. One of my expertises is web localization, and I now work in an advanced online agile environment allowing the linguists to work with online term bases, TMS, and with direct access to more teams such as web developers or content analysts to ask queries directly to them. I would not give back to this workflow under any circumstance.
Hi, Richard Samson here from the University of Vic. I'm going to answer question 6. What has changed about the process of translating for you since you started out in this business? Well, I think the main thing that's changed is the move away from paper. I don't use paper reference books at all. When I started, I had a lot of dictionaries, monolingual, bilingual dictionaries and reference books, and they were among my most prized possessions. I don't have any of them anymore. I've got rid of them all, and all my reference work, consulting and searching for information takes place online. The other thing that's changed, of course, is post-editing using neural machine translation platforms. We can get some quite interesting first drafts which allow for speedy post-editing that simply wasn't possible or productive a few years ago. So there we are, paperless and post-editing.
Bueno, si tenemos en cuenta que yo llevo en este sector aproximadamente 40 años, es más que probable que de todos estos vídeos yo sea el abuelo de todos, pues en 40 años ha cambiado mucho. Si tenemos en cuenta que yo he tenido la vida antes de Windows, pues con eso se dice todo. En esa época el trabajo era puramente manual, sin ningún tipo de ayuda tecnológica. Poco a poco fueron apareciendo nuevas aplicaciones, nuevas tecnologías generales y algunas ya específicas de nuestro sector que nos fueron facilitando la vida. La apertura de la ventana de Internet pues convirtió el perfil de ese traductor aislado de todo el mundo, ¿no? O un poco de esa rata de biblioteca, listillo ahí, rodeado de libros, por un trabajo, por un entorno mucho más abierto, con posibilidad de trabajo colaborativo, y todo eso se ha venido potenciado por la tecnología y esa gran ventana de Internet que ha permitido el acceso a gran cantidad de información cuando se trabaja con textos especializados. Antes esa especialización venía directamente por los conocimientos que se tenían o por la práctica. Ahora, si no se tienen esos conocimientos tan exhaustivos de un sector, es tal la probabilidad de documentarse debidamente, bueno, y también indebidamente, con eso hay que tener cuidado, que permite acceder a algún tipo de texto que antes a lo mejor no nos atrevíamos a hacer, con lo cual yo nunca renunciaría al uso de la tecnología aplicada, de la tradumática en general, con todo el enorme despliegue de herramientas de todo tipo que ello conlleva. Gracias.
Una de las tecnologías que ahora considero imprescindibles es la posibilidad de personalizar las herramientas mediante programación. Pueden ser macros del procesador de textos, utilidades que ejecutan varios comandos del sistema operativo con solo pulsar una tecla o incluso aplicaciones desarrolladas específicamente para una tarea concreta, como la revisión. En cualquier caso, creo que son imprescindibles para aumentar la productividad y la calidad.
Es una respuesta algo atípica, pero a día de hoy trabajo exclusivamente en la nube, lo que me permite, por un lado, olvidarme de gestionar 20.000 archivos en mi propio ordenador y también de actualizar constantemente el software en mi ordenador, porque todo se actualiza en la nube y de esa manera tengo la versión más actualizada, así que me concentro en trabajar.
Las que sin duda han cambiado en estos últimos 20 años es la viabilidad de proyectos que se basan en servidores remotos. Yo recuerdo que en 2006, haciendo un proyecto para Lionbridge, no me interesaron como cliente porque en la tarifa por palabra no me estaban pagando el tiempo de espera que necesitaba para que su servidor me contestara. Esto ya no es así. Nosotros utilizamos MemoQ Server sin problemas y hay soluciones que están basadas únicamente en servidor, como pueden ser MemSource o XDM. ¿Y cuál es lo que realmente ha cambiado? Porque esta tecnología lleva 20 o 25 años aquí. Lo que ha cambiado son las conexiones a Internet.
Really? Well, I wouldn't give up the computer, the Internet, word processing software, computer-assisted or machine translation systems and the rest. What I could quite easily do without, however, is job insecurity, poor quality translations, lack of professionalism and all the problems these new technologies create for professionals, whose sole aim is to reduce human costs and exponentially increase the profits of the big translation industry. Let me explain. I started translating with an Olivetti typewriter and Tipex, a lot of Tipex, and of course the translations were delivered in hard copy and formatting was not even an issue for discussion. In any case, other professionals were in charge of the page layout. At Siemens in Germany, the average number of pages translated per working day, that is, 8 hours, was 12 pages. Nowadays, I translate one page in half an hour. Everything changed with word processing programs, a veritable revolution. Today I couldn't work without them because counting words by hand was exhausting, and spell checking was a real pain because it was done with a hard copy dictionary and the aforementioned Tipex. Nor would I give up online dictionaries or browsers and all that the internet offers us for documentation, although there is little left of the global network dream that allows access to everyone from all over the world, and it couldn't be otherwise. The World Wide Web has become a marketplace for selling products in exchange for money or personal data. This leaves the computer-assisted and machine translation systems, and I wouldn't give up these translation tools that are so useful for translators either, because translating long manuals without, for example, programs like Trados, WordFast or Deja Vu, is an extremely monotonous job, whereas these new systems allow us to translate a large volume of texts and even maintain the original format, something that must be taken into account if we consider that, for example, in Catalonia alone, around 6,400 legal documents from the courts were translated last year, and without these CAT tools this wouldn't have been possible. Machine translation cannot, for the time being, replace the human translator, which is why there is post-editing, where in the best case, qualified translators correct the mistakes of the machines, because, no matter how much artificial intelligence there is supposed to be, a machine doesn't understand the semantic meaning of a text. It only has increasingly large data storage capacities, and, as long as DeepL, the jewel in the crown, translates the typical festive dessert Brosoda Hitano into German as Zigunerarm, lit. Gypsy arm, translators don't need to worry. The translator's way of working has certainly changed, and I wouldn't want to work with the means there were in the 1990s. But, as always, human beings have taken advantage of technological possibilities to better exploit their fellow human beings. The translators hired by companies are replaced by an army of cheap labor in the form of bogus freelancers. But this is another topic.
I started translating professionally in 1986, and from the typewriter I went to the word processor, which, needless to say, is really positive. For the types of translations I dedicate myself, I do not use automatic translation tools. Internet access, of course, is a great advantage for me. It saves me many hours of consultation in libraries. It allows me to find many references that it was practically impossible to come if you had no contact with someone from the culture and language you translated. Naturally, I would not give up anyways, except for force majeure, energy hecatomb type, nor describable at all in the times we live, to the internet consultation. Only those who started translating into the era prior to the World Wide Web are fully aware of what it meant. There was a before and after in access to information and documentation within the reach of translation professionals and has triggered an authentic revolution in our field, as these 20 years of journey of the Transhumatic magazine itself demonstrate. I wonder what degree of acceptance I would have among our students of the degree of translation with an experiment mode to propose an excursion to the library to document with the encyclopedias and paper books without resorting to the, not so, new technologies. I'm afraid that horror faces would be a sufficiently deterrent element for the teacher, and I speak with knowledge of cause. On the other hand, the next few years also reflected in the contents of this magazine will tell us how intensive use of the internet, mainly with the TA, has an impact on the profession and what will be the professional problems derived from it.
The use of automatic translation programs, with the complement of texts processed as macros, would be the most relevant and inalienable change in the translation process. Apart from this, the possibility of consulting dictionaries or consultations on regulatory and terminological institutions, are other changes that have also greatly improved the translation work. As a translation trainer, my approach to teaching translation has changed dramatically over the last 10 years. When I teach translation, I no longer focus only on linguistic and cultural transfer, but take into account a series of supplementary constraints related to project management, use of style guides, client instructions, glossaries. I also now allow my students to use MT for homework assignment and final exams on campus. What I am trying to evaluate now is how they manage to use all the tools they have, including MT, to provide a fit-for-purpose translation.
Would not give up on the computer. I studied without computers and now I could not make a translation without computer, and without the internet.